Every scar told a story. Every fight asked a question. How much more can one man take? And every time, Dustin answered, quietly, violently, like only a lifer could. From Lafayette to Abu Dhabi, from rodeo rings to UFC interim gold, this is the quiet end of a warrior's journey. This is Sleepless MMA, bedtime stories for fight fans. And tonight, we remember Dustin the Diamond Poirier. In the blue-collar heart of Lafayette, Louisiana, where fight and struggle were constants of life. Born in 1989 and raised on the tough north side of Lafayette, Dustin learned to throw punches before he could even spell. As a child, he was no stranger to chaos. His parents divorced when he was 5, and the turbulent world around him often left a chip on his shoulder. By age 10, he had already earned a reputation. A kid with fast hands and a fiery temper, scrapping with boys twice his age. One local legend recalls a young Poirier breaking a much older boy's jaw with a single punch. Fighting was in Dustin's blood. His father fought. His grandfather fought. And he too was a natural-born scrapper. But those early brawls were raw and lacked direction. An angry kid just swinging at the world. Through his early teens, trouble had a way of finding him, and he happily obliged. He bounced in and out of juvenile court for street fights and mischief, each stint adding new scars inside and out. By 15, the classroom couldn't contain his restlessness. He dropped out of Northside High School in the 9th grade after yet another fight landed him in a juvenile boot camp. No diploma, no prospects, only a lingering anger and the open road to nowhere. For a time, Dustin drifted, picking up odd jobs and slipping into dangerous habits. He spent late nights hanging out with the wrong crowd, clouded by smoke and cheap alcohol. His fist still did the talking. He was a young man spiraling, another Lafayette kid bound for a dead-end road. Yet, even in the darkest of nights, a spark can glow. For Dustin, that spark was love and a moment of clarity. He had met a girl, Jolie, back in middle school, a steady presence who saw the good in him. With Jolie's encouragement and an inner urge he couldn't ignore, Dustin realized at 18 that he had to make a change. What am I fighting for, he asked himself. The answer was a chance. A chance to turn those brawling instincts into something purposeful. Dustin cut ties with the troublemakers, quit the street life, and walked into a local boxing gym with resolve burning in his chest. There, amidst the beat of jump ropes and a heavy bag, he found a way out. Punch by punch, he began to forge discipline out of chaos. The gym became his sanctuary, a place where fighting was not only allowed, but channeled, refined, turned into an art rather than destruction. It wasn't long before Dustin knew he'd found his calling. In that humble Lafayette gym, a troubled youth transformed into a focused fighter. He discovered that the fury inside him could fuel greatness. After months of training, sharpening his boxing, and picking up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the 20-year-old Dustin stepped into a local cage for his first amateur bout. On a chilly January night in 2009, he tasted competition for the first time, and he won. The rush of victory without malice, the roar of a crowd cheering his skill rather than his anger, lit a fire that would never dim. One amateur fight was enough. It was enough to convince him. This wasn't just a pastime. It was his road to redemption. Dustin turned professional that same year, carrying the nickname The Diamond, a testament to how pressure and time can create something strong and beautiful. He vowed to himself that no matter how rough the start, he would shine in the end. After marrying his longtime girlfriend, Jolie, later that year in September of 2009, at the age of 20, he dedicated himself to the fight game. His early professional career was nothing short of meteoric. 7 straight victories, all finishes. He was a ferocious young talent on the regional circuit. Each win was a step further from the life he left behind. With every opponent he beat, Dustin felt the pieces of his shattered youth forging into something new. A weapon, honed and deadly, but also a man with a purpose. In 2010, his streak and reputation earned him a call from the bright lights of the WEC, a major league for any aspiring fighter at the time. Stepping into the WEC cage was a big step up in competition, and Dustin soon met his first true setback. Matched against a seasoned contender, Danny Castillo, Poirier tasted defeat for the first time. On that night, the Lafayette brawler found himself outmaneuvered and outpointed by experience he didn't yet have. It stung to lose. He was 20 years old and invincible no more. But that loss became a lesson. He let the pain carve him into a sharper fighter. Within months, he rebounded with a vengeance, scoring a first-round knockout in his next WEC fight. Fate had bigger plans. After the WEC merged with the UFC, Poirier got his shot on the biggest stage. On New Year's Day, 2011, at UFC 125 in Las Vegas, 21-year-old Poirier made his debut against top contender Josh Grispi. Almost no one gave him a chance, but Dustin came to fight. He pushed forward with sharp strikes and non-stop pressure. Grispi couldn't keep up. After 3 rounds, Poirier won by unanimous decision and shocked the fight world. That night, the underdog became a name to remember. The kid from Lafayette had arrived. After beating Grispi, Poirier's UFC journey kicked off at full speed. He fought anyone they gave him, never backing down. Around the same time, the documentary Fightville was released, which followed young fighters trying to make it in the fight game. This helped propel him into the public spotlight. Following this, in 2012, he faced a young, unknown Hawaiian named Max Holloway. Just 20 years old and stepping in on short notice, Holloway reminded Dustin of himself. Raw, hungry, fearless, but Poirier's experience showed. He took the fight to the ground and locked in a slick mounted triangle armbar. Holloway tapped in the first round. Two future legends met that night, though neither knew it yet. Later that year, Poirier headlined a UFC event against the Korean Zombie. What followed was a brutal back-and-forth war. Both men left it all in the cage. In round 4, exhausted, Poirier got caught in a Darce choke. He went out cold. It was a crushing loss. He had came so close to winning, but fell short. Still, instead of giving up, Dustin used the loss as fuel. He promised to get better, smarter, and tougher. Fans saw something in him that night. A heart that wouldn't quit, win or lose. After the loss to the Korean Zombie, he made a change in his training camp, making a switch to American Top Team. In his next 2 bouts, he caught Jonathan Brookins in a Darce choke, but took a decision loss to Cub Swanson. Then in 2014, UFC 178, heading into the fight on a 3-fight win streak, he was facing a loud, brash Irishman named Conor McGregor, who was rising fast, and Poirier was his next test. The trash talk was non-stop. Dustin wanted to shut Conor up, but inside the cage, it ended quickly. McGregor landed a clean left behind the ear, followed by a flurry. First round TKO. Poirier was stunned. It was his first knockout loss. Alone in the locker room, Dustin sat in silence. The defeat hurt, and so did the memory of McGregor celebrating. But in that low moment, a new fire started to burn. He could stay down or come back stronger, and he chose to rise. After losing to McGregor, Dustin knew something had to change. He moved up to the lightweight division, leaving behind the brutal weight cuts at featherweight. Some doubted he could handle the bigger fights, but Dustin didn't. The move paid off. In 2015, he returned with fire, winning his next 4 and racking up 2 performance bonuses. He looked stronger, faster, like a whole new fighter. But the road wasn't smooth. In 2016, overconfidence cost him against Michael Johnson. A quick punch ended the fight early. Another tough loss. Another hard lesson. Still, Dustin didn't quit. He went back to work sharpening his game. Then came the run that changed everything. He beat veteran Jim Miller in a back-and-forth war, battering Dustin with calf kicks. But Dustin managed to pull off the decision win. Then he battered former champ Anthony Pettis in an absolute bloodbath. Next came Eddie Alvarez, a brawler like Dustin. Their first fight ended in a no contest after illegal knees from Alvarez. They both handled it with class, and they would eventually get a rematch. But before that could happen, Dustin faced Justin Gaethje in April 2018, a human wrecking ball. Gaethje tore up Poirier's leg with kicks, but Dustin kept landing clean shots. Limping and in pain, he never backed down. In round 4, he rocked Gaethje with a brutal combo and finished him. It was a classic fight, maybe the best of the year. Just a few months later, Poirier finally got his rematch with Alvarez. This time, no controversy. Alvarez landed another illegal shot, but Dustin pushed through it. In round 2, he cornered Eddie and finished him with a violent barrage. 2 former champs beaten, 2 more bonuses earned, And now Poirier wasn't just winning, he was becoming a legend. Fight by fight, round by round, he built a legacy. He wasn't flashy or loud, he just showed up, fought hard, and earned respect. Fans loved him for it. By 2019, the Diamond had done it. He was one fight away from becoming a world champion. After 8 long years in the UFC, the Diamond finally got a shot at gold. In April 2019, he faced Max Holloway again. But this wasn't the rookie he beat in 2012. Holloway was now a dominant champion on a 13-fight win streak, moving up in weight to chase a second title. At UFC 236 in Atlanta, the two met in a war. Poirier landed heavy shots early, but Holloway kept coming, smiling through the blood. For 5 brutal rounds, they traded everything: punches, respect, and heart. When the final horn sounded, both men were battered and spent. The judges gave Poirier the nod. Dustin broke down in tears. After all the setbacks, all the fights, he was finally a UFC champion. But one challenge remained: Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib was 27-0, the undisputed champ and the most feared grappler in the game. They met in September of 2019 at UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi. Khabib smothered Dustin early, taking him down and keeping him there. Between rounds, Dustin told his corner, "I can't get him off of me." But in round 2, the Diamond fired back with punches that rocked the champ. The crowd gasped. Then in round 3, Dustin locked in a deep guillotine choke, his best chance. It looked tight. For a second, it felt like Khabib might tap, but he slipped free. Moments later, Khabib took Poirier's back and locked in a rear naked choke. Dustin fought it as long as he could, but eventually tapped. Khabib won again, but something powerful happened after the fight. Khabib knelt beside Dustin and praised him. They traded shirts. Khabib even donated his to Dustin's charity, and the UFC matched it. Even in defeat, the Diamond made an impact. His charity would bring clean water to people in Uganda, and fans didn't see a failure. They saw a man with heart, grit, and class. He didn't leave Abu Dhabi with the belt, but he left with the respect of the world. After the loss to Khabib, some fighters might have quit or taken a long break. Not the Diamond. He took time to heal, but knew he had more work to do in the cage. In June of 2020, he returned against rising star Dan Hooker. The fight turned into a 5-round war, but Dustin refused to break. As the fight went on, Dustin took over, landed combos, pushing the pace, and showing his trademark grit. He won by decision in one of the best fights in UFC history. That win put him back in the title picture. But first, he had a score to settle. Conor McGregor wanted a rematch, and Poirier was ready. At UFC 257, the two met again in Abu Dhabi. This time, both were mature and respectful, at least before the fight. Poirier came in with a smart plan. Attack Conor's lead leg. The kicks added up quickly. In round 2, when McGregor slowed down, Poirier turned it up. He landed clean shots and dropped Conor with a brutal combo. The ref stopped it. KO. It was McGregor's first knockout loss, and Poirier got his revenge. No trash talk, no gloating, just quiet pride. Paid in full, Dustin said. 6 months later, they fought again at UFC 264. This time, the bad blood returned. Poirier stayed calm while Conor tried to stir things up. In round 1, Dustin dominated again. But then, McGregor's leg broke during a step back, ending the fight. It was a doctor's stoppage. Win for Poirier. Not the ending he wanted, but he had clearly won the trilogy. Now back on track, Dustin faced champion Charles Oliveira at UFC 269. He hurt Oliveira early and looked sharp, but in round 3, Charles took Poirier's back and submitted him. Another shot at the undisputed title had slipped away. Still, the Diamond didn't complain. He donated $20,000 to Oliveira's charity and showed respect. His focus stayed the same. Keep fighting, keep giving back. In 2022, Poirier faced Michael Chandler in Madison Square Garden. It was a wild, bloody fight. Chandler came out swinging and was ready for a war. Late in round 1, Chandler got a huge takedown, but Dustin quickly got up. Then they went back and forth, exchanging blows late in round 1. But Dustin cracked Chandler hard and knocked him down, and then poured it on him, destroying Chandler's nose. Round 2, Chandler took Dustin down. Blood pouring from Chandler's nose, he threatened a submission several times, but he had no luck. Dustin survived. In round 3, Poirier reversed Chandler and locked in a rear naked choke. Submission win. Another big victory. Another war. At this point, Poirier had built one of the most respected legacies in MMA. He wasn't just a fighter, he was the people's champ. Whether he wore the belt or not, fans knew what they'd get. Heart, fire, and unforgettable fights. And deep down, the Diamond still believed in one more shot at glory. In the summer of 2023, the Diamond got a new kind of shot. Not for a traditional belt, but for the BMF title. It wasn't about rankings. It was about heart. Who better than the Diamond? He faced Gaethje again at UFC 291, 5 years after their first war. The fight was in Salt Lake City's high altitude. Both men came ready. The first round was close, big punches, heavy kicks, but early in round 2, Gaethje faked low, then fired a high kick that landed flush. Poirier went stiff and dropped. Just like that, it was over. Gaethje got his revenge. Dustin was heartbroken, not just by the loss, but because the BMF title fit everything he stood for. Still, he stayed classy, calling it a beautiful shot. At 34, after years of battles and near misses, some wondered if this was the end, but Dustin wasn't done. Then came a final shot at the title. The opponent, Islam Makhachev, Khabib's protege, and the new lightweight king. Despite the loss to Gaethje, Poirier was offered the fight. To stay sharp, Dustin fought Benoit Saint-Denis. He looked like vintage Poirier. He won by second round KO, earning yet another Fight of the Night bonus. Then came UFC 302, Newark, New Jersey. Poirier vs. Makhachev. One last chance. Makhachev controlled early with takedowns, but Poirier stayed composed and landed big shots on the feet. The fight was close. The crowd started chanting, "Dustin, Dustin." In round 5, Dustin's coach told him, 5 minutes for the rest of your life. Dustin nodded. He came out swinging. Midway through the round, Makhachev went for a takedown. In the scramble, he locked in the Darce choke. Dustin fought it with everything he had, but slowly, his body gave out. Islam won. Poirier didn't win the belt, but he won hearts again. It wasn't the end he dreamed of, but it was the perfect ending for a warrior. By mid-2024, the Diamond was home in Lafayette, facing a tough question. What now? He was 35 years old, with nearly 40 pro fights behind him. His body was worn down. Ribs, nose, legs, all marked by years of wars inside the octagon. He had chased UFC gold 3 times and came up short every time. But outside the cage, life was full. He was a husband to Jolie, a father to Parker Noel, and by 2025, their second child, a baby boy, was on the way. He also had something else that mattered just as much as fighting: his Good Fight Foundation. It all started in 2017 when Dustin auctioned off his fight gear to help a local charity. Then he did it again to support a fallen officer's family. The feeling of helping others stuck with him. So in 2018, he and Jolie made it official by launching the Good Fight Foundation. From that point on, after every fight, win or lose, Dustin gave back. He bought school supplies for hundreds of kids, paid for meals at shelters, donated to sick children and struggling families, built playgrounds for special needs kids. Even after his crushing loss to Khabib, something beautiful came from it. The support for his charity exploded. Khabib and Dana donated $200,000. Dustin used it to build water wells in Uganda. He had found a second calling, using fighting to help people. During lockdowns, he and Jolie delivered 1,000 meals to hospital workers. The UFC honored him with the first ever Forrest Griffin Community Award in his hometown, named March 15th, Dustin Poirier Day, and awarded him with the key to the city. For Dustin, these moments meant more than any title. As he often said, the goal was to leave the world better than you found it. Fans loved his fights, but they loved him even more for who he was outside of the cage. A fighter with heart, not just power. Other fighters respected him deeply. Khabib called him one of the best people in MMA. Max Holloway said Dustin inspired him to do more. Even Conor McGregor, despite the rivalry, admitted Dustin's charity work was something to admire. To young fighters everywhere, Poirier showed that you could be tough in the cage and kind in life. He proved that being a great fighter isn't just about knockouts, it's about character, compassion, and giving back. He didn't need a belt to be a champion. The Diamond was already the people's champ. By mid-2024, the Diamond knew it was time. After 3 tries at undisputed gold, nearly 40 fights, and countless wars, his body had paid the price. He didn't want to keep fighting just to stick around. If he was going out, he wanted it to mean something. He pictured one last fight at home in Louisiana, in front of the fans who had supported him since day one. A goodbye on his terms. The UFC agreed. They planned a major event in New Orleans, built around Dustin's farewell. And for the opponent, Dustin wanted Gaethje since they were 1-1. But only one name felt right for the UFC: Max Holloway. They had fought twice before, both epic battles. This would be the third and final fight. 2 legends meeting one last time, with the BMF title on the line. Dustin announced the fight himself. "This will be my final fight," he said. "I'm laying the gloves down in Louisiana where it all started." The MMA world lit up. Fans are excited, but emotional, myself included. This was the end of an era. The whole city buzzed. Billboards went up. The governor planned to attend. Even Lil Wayne will walk Dustin out with a live performance. Max Holloway, always respectful, promised to bring the heat. Let's give them something to remember. Now I'm going to go off script for a minute, tell you about our story when we met Dustin, show you some cool pictures, and also just thank you for listening. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is James. I live in Indiana. Been a fight fan for 15 to 20 years. And I have problems sleeping at night. And I always put on a bedtime story or just watch random stuff in the background. And a lot of it just is bright, loud, and just doesn't work well with me. And I'm a fight fan. So I figured I'd mix the two together. Fights and sleep. So I hope you enjoy it. And I want to get better every time with this. I want to really, put the effort in and give you a good story. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, please leave it in the comments. Also, if you have any story ideas, and also just tell me where you're located at and what time you're listening. I appreciate it. And then I just want to give my final thoughts on Dustin. I'm going to miss him. I love this guy. Every time you just had to watch this guy fight, no matter what. You just had to watch him fight. He's a great family man, a father. He's been with his wife, Jolie, forever, And what he does with the Good Fight Foundation for his hometown is admirable. He's just a really great guy, inside and out. I actually got to meet him at UFC 191 over in Vegas. And it was a pretty cool experience, It was back when the floor seat tickets were actually much cheaper. And me and my brother-in-law and a friend, we had floor seats. And when you have floor seats, all the fighters sit there with you, Even your bathroom and concession stand, you get to, all the fighters are out there. At least they were back then. That's been a long time ago, but, like all the fighters are out in the concessions. You're using the bathroom with them. They're out there sitting with you. We got to meet a whole bunch of people, and Dustin was one of them. And, he signed my shirt and asked me where I trained at, because I was wearing a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Fort Wayne shirt, and that's where I trained at the time was Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And, it was just a great experience. He signed it. We had a little conversation, and, it was just pretty cool, just a real humble guy. Came up to me with a smile and started talking to me right away, and it was cool, We also got to meet Conor McGregor on his rise before he fought Aldo and got the belt. He had his interim belt when we met him, and we met DC and Frank Mir and Rumble and Bruce Buffer and Mighty Mouse and Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, Kelvin Gastelum, list goes on, At the end of the day, I had about, 20 or so autographs on my shirt, and it was an amazing experience, because I'm a huge fight fan, and this is my passion. It's really the only sport I watch is UFC. That's it. It's been that way for 15, 20 years, and it's just really cool. But this is a tribute to Dustin, and I love him. I'm gonna miss him, and he gave us his all. He's a killer. From his fights with McGregor and Gaethje and Max Holloway, and he's got one heck of a resume, and I can't wait to see this next fight with him and Max. Lil Wayne's gonna walk him out, and man, it's gonna be exciting. I really wish I could go. I'm gonna try to pull it off, but I doubt it. But because I have two young kids, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and that's actually why I stopped training, because I was in Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu, and had two young kids and just had to stop. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and this was my idea, my shot at a passion project, and I always have trouble sleeping, so I always just watch random stuff, and they're always usually bright and loud and stuff like that. I figured I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna start, I'm gonna do bedtime stories for fight fans, and I'm gonna call it Sleepless MMA. So, but anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and put this on your playlist, and be on the lookout for more future videos. And I'm gonna do this, and with your help and support, this could be it, and if we grow this to something great, we're gonna do something great. We're gonna go to fights. We're gonna do stuff. We're gonna give away stuff. We're gonna do cool stuff. Because this is a passion project of mine. This isn't, AI. This isn't, somebody that's not a fan. Like, I'm a real die-hard fan. And I love this sport. I love talking about it. I love watching it every week. And I hope you enjoyed it. So, I'm signing off. This is Sleepless MMA, bedtime stories for fight fans.